All right, good afternoon, everybody. Just confirm and let me know if you guys are hearing me. I hope you guys are okay. We're gonna jump right into it as soon as you guys confirm that you can hear and you can see. Hi, Gwen. How are you? So Natalia and Terry, let me know if you guys are seeing as well. Okay, so y'all ready to start? Because the earlier we start, the better position we're going to be in. All right, so we're going to jump straight into it. So the first thing I want to do for today's class is just give you a broad spectrum of everything, how statistics is broken into. So what you would realize is that we're going to do the same topics for these three different things. So we're going to do mode, median, mean, range for raw data, mode, median, mean for ungrouped data, mode, median, mean for group data, and then we have some other entities to look at for those for group data. So just to give you an idea of what all of these things mean, raw data is when you have information set out without it being organized whatsoever. So you would have like a cluster of numbers or data. So for example, let's say I am collecting shoe sizes of persons in my fifth form block. So I would just simply write, okay, 6, 5, 3, 2, 7, 6, 7, 8, size 10, 3, 4. Okay. So that is what we would call raw data. The data, as soon as you collect it, you just write it down, and that's how it is presented. Then we have ungrouped data. And just to give you an idea, ungrouped data is usually data where we look at that is represented in a frequency table. So this is information presented in a frequency table. And really, all a frequency table tells you is how much of one thing that you're looking at. So for example, this is an example of a frequency table. So you see here, we have the number of goals listed, and then it tells us how much persons scored those goals. So as you see here, we have 4 persons scoring 0, 3 scoring 1, 5 scoring 2, etc. So before I continue, everybody see what I mean when we talk about the difference between raw data and a frequency table data? Okay. All right. So then we will have examples of group data that we're going to look at. And this is something we spoke about in our previous class pretty shortly. So today's aim is to just bring some clarity and better understanding of the terms. So group data looks like this. And just to give you an idea, we're going to do some activities that help us understand group data. And it would be like this. So let's say, for example, let's pretend there's no numbers highlighted in yellow because it may be a little confusing. But let's say we have our frequency table, but what do you realize here? Instead of each number having its own entire row, they've grouped some numbers together to make it easier. So the first row represents any number that is from 1 to 5. So you would then have to look at all the numbers that are 1 to 5 and put the value here. So everybody see the difference? So we know raw data, this would be what we would call our raw data. Everybody see that? And when we organize it in the table, it can be either grouped data, as we see here, or it could be ungrouped data, where you see every entity has its own specific row or column. Okay, so confirm with me if you kind of know, have a better understanding of the tree. Raw data, ungrouped data, and group data. Terry, I need you to let me know as well. Even if you're just looking on, just confirm with me that you get a gist. Okay, no problem. All right, so let us get into it. So what we're going to look at is finding the mode, median, and mean of raw data. That's the easiest one to do. And so what we're going to do is just look at the process using one example. So let's look at example number 1. So just take, guys, write down this information as I write so that you can have it in your books, okay? I'm gonna use some smaller digits so that we could get through the information quicker. So let's say we have some numbers, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 8. So the first thing we're gonna look at is mode and the idea of mode. What does mode mean? So that's what we're gonna look at first. So this is our example, but let's look at the meanings. So mode, anybody here did mode already? So let me just remove this here. So as I was saying, let's look at the meanings of the 3 words, mode, median, mean, range. So mode represents the most popular event. So if you collecting shoe sizes, or let's say in this case, this is talking about the number of shades you have. So this talks about the number of shades somebody owns. So as you see here, one person owns 2, another owns 4, another person owns 2, 5 to 8. Okay, so we want to find the mode. And as we see here, the mode is the most popular event. And just to remind you what event means, event just means whatever we're talking about, whatever data we're collecting. And in this example, it is the number of shades. So everybody with me with mode? So that's the meaning of mode. Median is the middle number. The middle number after you arrange the number from smallest to biggest. After arranging numbers from smallest to biggest. Because how are you going to find the middle number if it's not in a specific order or increasing order? Okay, from smallest to biggest. And we did the mean already, and we know the mean has a formula. And how do we find the mean? The mean is the sum of all quantities divided by the number of quantities. So these are the 3 very important concepts that we need to have. So you're going to make sure you copy this down in your books and let me know when you guys are finished doing so. Okay, Gwen is done. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at this example and go through it quickly. So we're going to use these numbers. So just a quick reminder, mode just means the most popular. So that is the event that happens the most, the one that has the highest frequency. So that's all we should keep in mind whenever they ask us for the mode. Median, the middle number. So we have to arrange the numbers from smallest to biggest and then find the number in the middle. And then the mean is the sum of all quantities divided by the number of quantities we have. Hi, General. So we just started So we're gonna look at some examples. We just spoke about what the mode is, the median is, the mean. So just to quickly recap before we go into the example, mode means the most popular event, median, the middle. Oh, this is supposed to be middle number. Supposed to be middle number after arranging number from smallest to biggest. And the mean is the sum of all quantities divided by the number of quantities. Okay, so let's look at the example. And just to give you a quick jump into what we were doing, we're going to be looking at the same activities for 3 different types of data. All right, so let's look at the first one, mode. So we want to find the mode for this group of numbers. Everybody take a guess. Which number is the most popular? AKA, which number do you realize you're seeing the most? Exactly. So since we see here, 2 would be our mode. Because how do we realize 2 is the mode? Let's look at our options. We have 2 once, twice, 3 times. So 2 showed up the most, hence the mode is 2. Everybody with me? Now let's find the median. The median means what? The middle number, but you have to do something first. What do we have to do first if we're going to find the median? We must arrange the numbers from smallest to biggest. So let's write all the smallest numbers first. And we got 2 3s. So we got to write 2, 2, 2. And just to give you an idea, whenever you write a number, scratch it out so you know that you use it already. Out of the 3 that remain, which one is the smallest? The smallest would be 4. I use 4, then it would be 5, and then it would be 8. So how do we find the middle number? Now there's a trick. If the number is an odd number, obviously there's going to be a number in the middle. So I'm going to scratch off the number at the ends. Scratch off the numbers at the ends. But what y'all realize here, is there one number in the middle? No problem. What do you realize here? We have 2 numbers in the middle. So there's a reason why I gave this example. Anytime you want to find the medium, when you have 2 numbers in the middle, you add the 2 numbers and you divide it by 2. Everybody see what I'm saying? That's how you find the center. So what you would have to do is say 2 plus 4 divided by 2. 2 plus 4 is how much? 2 plus 4 is 6. And 6 divided by 2 is how much? 3. And let's be real. Isn't 3 the number in between 2 and 4? So that is correct. That would give us the middle number. Talk to me. Everybody seeing what I'm saying here? So I'm going to give you an example on the side that has odd numbers. So this was an example using an even amount of numbers. Let's look at an option that looks at an odd even of numbers. So that means our answer first is, our answer is 3. 3 is the median. So let's just look at another example before we move on. So I'm going to give you a set of numbers again. 3, 5, 3, 4, 2. All right, so I asked you to find the median. Again, what would be my first step? Somebody, anybody. What would be the first step for us to find the median? Can I just go and look for the center number immediately? What must I do first? Okay, I see somebody send me something directly. That is correct. You have to rearrange, yes. And how do we rearrange? From smallest to biggest. So somebody come talk to me. What would be the first number I should write? Let's do it as a group. So the first number would be 2, then 3, 3, very good. Then 4, and then the last number 5. Before you find the medium, always back check to make sure you have the correct numbers aligned. That's very important. Okay, so now that we found Now that we arrange the number from smallest to biggest, now we could determine which number is in the middle. So let's try this one. Scratch off the two ends, and boom, we have a number that is automatically in the middle. So the median in this example is equal to 3. Everybody with me? So let me just zoom out so you can see the difference between the two. Here we had an odd number of quantities. Whenever you have an odd number of quantities, you would find the median directly. Whenever you have an even number of quantities, you're going to always have to add them and divide by 2. Even number of quantities. Everybody with me? Copy down these examples quickly, and then we're going to move on to mean. Even though we already learned how to do the mean, we're going to go through it so that we can lock down our understanding of the 3 terms. So let me know when y'all finish. So we could call this one example 1. Example 2. Zoom out some more or zoom in. All right, so just to quickly recap. So we have here the use of raw data. And just to make sure we understand the difference again between raw data for everybody who joined a little late, I just need to make sure y'all remember and understand the difference between raw data, ungroup data, and group data. Okay? Janella, you finished yet? So far, what we've done is found the mode, median, and now we're going to look at the mean for raw data. Okay, no problem. All right, okay, awesome. So now let's look at, no problem, love. So now let's look at finding the mean. So far we found the mode, which means the most popular. That's the number that shows up the most. We know how to find the median. Anybody remember how to find the mean? We did it, yes, we did it on Monday. So mean has a formula. So mean is the sum of all quantities, always write the formula, divided by the number of quantities. Please have your calculators ready. And so what numbers should I be adding? All 6 numbers, right? So that would be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 8 divided by the number of numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so our answer is, anybody want to share what they think the answer is? Y'all need to be able to calculate these things on your own. So I have one answer so far, 3.8. Did anybody else get that? 6. Excellent job, everybody. So here we got 2, 4, 6, 10, 15. 15 plus 8 is 23. So we end up with 23 over 6, which is correct, 3.8. All right, so let's quickly recap. Does everybody understand the general gist of mode, median, and mean? Because now we're going to take it up a next level. These type of questions come a lot for paper 1. It's very unlikely that you're going to get raw data like this for the paper 2. So I see Natalia, I see Gwen. What about Janella and T? How do you guys feel so far about the mode, median, and mean? Should I do one more example? Are y'all ready? We could move on. Let's do one more example. All right, so let's try another example. So let's use these 5 data and let's find the mode. Since we already find the median, let's find the mode and let's find the mean. So everybody, what is the mode of this information here? If we got 3, 5, 3, 4, 2, remembering that the mode means the most popular event, the most popular number, what is the mode for this batch of numbers, raw data? Take a try, everybody. Let's go. T, what do you think? Excellent job. Pretty easy, because as we see here, there are 2 3s, so the mode is 3. No, I want y'all to know this. It is possible to have more than one mode. Sometimes you can get 2 mode, because let's say I had an extra 2 here. That means I have 3 twice and I have 2 twice. This can happen. Whenever this happens, we call this bimodal. And you know, bi means twice, right? So there's a chance of having a bimodal entity, which means 2 modes. And obviously, if you have a bimodal, it is possible to have a trimodal entity. What does tri mean? If bi means 2, how much is tri? Tri would obviously be 3 modes. Okay? All right, so easy stuff. We found the median, we found the mode. So how do we find the mean again? Simple again. We do the formula. Sum of numbers or quantities. Let's use quantities because we don't want to mix up the word quantities and number. So sum of quantities divided by number of quantities. So I see one person got the answer already. Anybody else have the answer? So if I add 2 plus 3, that's 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. So that would be 17 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Based on my estimation, because I know 5 could go into 15 3 times. So I know it must be 3 point something. So 17 divided by 5. Excellent job, everybody. Our answer is 3.4. All right, so I think we are safe to check off the following items. So let me zoom in here and we could tick off mode for raw data, median, and mean for raw data. Now we need to look at range. Range, let me write it below here. So everybody write this down with me quickly. Range is the difference between the largest and smallest event. The largest and smallest event. No problem, just message me. So the difference between the largest and smallest event. Guys, what does difference mean again? When somebody says find the difference of something, what operation is that? Is it addition, Multiplication, subtraction, division. Excellent. It means to subtract. So what we're going to do, we're going to find the range for all the examples we've done so far. So let me know if you guys are finished copying this down, and we're going to go straight into calculating the range. And I'm going to be honest with you, statistics is really easy because it's all about just remembering what the words mean, remembering the simple formulas, and paying attention to the type of data that you have. So I think that we should be able to like knock out statistics pretty quickly and move on to the more challenging questions. So let's look at this example here. What would you say is the range of the number? Even though they scratch out, you could still see the largest and the smallest. So we know the range is the largest subtract smallest. So guys, how much is the range? Anybody could try. I just need at least one person. Now remember, the largest is 8. So instead of 2 minus 8, it would be what? 8 minus 2, which is equal to 6. Everybody with me? All right, so let's find the range for this example. What is the range? Again, we know the range is the largest minus smallest. So what is the range? Excellent. 5 minus 2, which is equal to 3. Excellent. All right. So guess what? We're done with the range. We now know what the range is. And so we are done with the range. Now we are going to look at the same 3 things, but instead of looking at it using raw data, we're going to look at it using on-group data. Y'all ready? Hopefully everybody feeling okay about the raw data. Keeping in mind, raw data only comes around when it comes to what you call it? Paper 1. All right, so we have this diagram here. And as you see here, we have the mean from an on-group frequency table. So this is what we will call on-group data. What is the difference between raw data and group data? Raw data usually has all of its elements separately. They're separated. No, sorry, not separated. They're just one entity to look at. Whereas in on-group data, what you should see is here, we got 0 goals 4 times, 1 goal 3 times. So if we were to look at each type of goal, that would give us a different amount. So what do I mean by that? Let me make that even more clearer. 4 persons got 0 goals. I think we kind of started this on Monday. This is where we ended off. So in total, how much goals did this 4 persons make everybody? 0. Remember that? 3 persons, because remember the frequency tells you the number of persons that does the event. So 3 persons got 1 goal. So how much goals did they get in total? Remember, 3 people get 1 goal each. You see what I mean now? 3 persons each made 1 goal. So in total, how much all 3 of them got together? Yes. So it would be 3, exactly. So let's keep it moving. 5 persons made 2 goals. How much goals is that in total? Because y'all have to be able to identify this information, okay? Exactly. And so here we would have what? 15. Here we would have what? 4. Here we would have what? Is this correct? I wanted to see if anybody pick up on it. Is that supposed to be 4? Exactly. What should it be? It should be 24. Next one, how much is the last one? How much goals did? Okay, exactly 35. So what do you realize here? We want to find the mean. And so to find the mean, we need to divide the total number of goals by the total number of persons that, scored those goals. So let's come over here to the side. So mean is equal to the sum of goals in this example divided by the number of persons who scored the goals. So what would be the sum of everything? What should we be adding? Should I be adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or should I be adding 0, 3, 10, 15, 24, 35? Keeping in mind that this is just the types of number of goals person scored versus the top, which is the actual number of goals person scored. Exactly. So somebody with a calculator, let's go. 3 plus 10 is 13, 13 and 15 is 28. 28 and 24 is what? 52. 52 and 35 is 87. Somebody check that for me. 87 is correct. Excellent. So it's 87 divided by how much is the total number of persons who played? So now we realize we need to find what? The sum of the frequency. How much is that? Is that 30? Excellent, 30. So what is our mean? When we do that, what is our mean? Excellent. It would be 2.9. But guess what? Can I have 2.9 balls or goals? Can we divide a goal in half? So anytime you have an event where you can't really divide the activity into half, look at it here. You wouldn't get it wrong if you put 2.9, eh? But just to be completely correct, you round off 2.9 goal to 3 goals. Everybody see that? All right. So we found the mean. Don't worry, we're going to keep doing more and more examples, okay? And as you realize, I'm going to tell you the truth. These are the type, these are CXC questions. So all now, everything we're doing now and everything we're practicing are CXC questions. So it's going to allow us to continue to practice the concept. So we found the mean. Guess what we need to find now? What would you consider to be the mode? What is the mode number of goals for this information here? Let me see who's thinking. Which one is the mode? Everybody take a try. Look at the table. So let me erase this to the top here because we don't need it. Which one is the mode number of goals? And this is something that has confused students all the time because they're not sure which number to pick. So everybody, the focus here is not to just get it right, but for me to see your level of thinking. So let's go. Which one would you pick? If you were to pick a mode, which one is the most popular? So I have 2 answers so far. I have Natalia and T. So Gwen and Janilla, talk to me. Which one y'all think? Make a decision. Okay. Janilla, which one you think? Okay, thank you very much, ladies. Now let's look at the information. What does the mode represent? The thing that comes the most in it. Which number has the highest frequency? That what frequency mean? Frequency mean how often something happen. So that means we're looking for the column that has the highest frequency. Which one has the highest frequency, everybody? This ain't the column with the highest frequency. So 7 is the highest frequency. So the mode is just 5. That means more people get 5 goals than they get any other number of goals. You see what I'm saying? That's how you're supposed to be thinking. because that's what the mode asking you for. Which one gives you the most goals? Who had the most types of goals? 7 people got 5 goals. That is why 5 is the mode. 7 is not the mode. 7 is just the number, the frequency. Remember, it's the event that happens the most. So what is the event? Remember, the event is the number of goals. So it's either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just need to look at which one has the highest frequency, and that will tell you which event is the mode. Everybody with me? So our mode is 5 goals. You see, we're gonna learn by working questions. That's how we're gonna learn. Okay, next one now is the median. How do I find the middle number for all of this here? Let's be real. There's a reason why this information is placed into a table, because I'm gonna show you why. If we wanted to represent this as raw data, this is how it would look. How many zeros would we have? We would have 4 zeros. So I would have had to do 0, 0, 0, 0. How much ones did we get? 3. So I would have to write 1, 2, 3. How much twos? 5 twos. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, seeing how hard that would be to find the middle number using the long way. Everybody see that? Talk to me. Everybody see why it would be difficult to use the raw data method to find the median? So obviously, because this is so much numbers, we cannot outline every goal and then find the middle goal. But what we do know is that, what do we know? We know that the total number of goals in general was how much? Didn't we find that before? How much goals were made overall? How much goals were made overall? 87. Right or wrong? So we need to figure out where would our middle goal be? But I'm going to put a pause here for now, because this is going to come up a little later. So we're going to come back to that. So for now, we know how to find the mean. We know how to find the mode of on-group data. All right. So let's look at this example here, and let's see if we can find the mean of another example, the mean and the mode. So these are the two things we're going to try to get: mode and the mean from this table here. So let's go. What are we looking at? The scores obtained by students in a test were recorded in a frequency table as follows. So that means one person got 0 marks. My question to you is, how many persons got 4 marks? Let's see if we know how to read and understand the table. Look at the table and tell me how much persons got 4 marks. Okay, I see Natalia sharing what she thinks. What about everybody else? Do you agree with her? Do you disagree with her then? So if I ask you how much persons got 4 marks, which side of the table you're going to look at? You're going to look at the table that talks about the marks, and you're going to look for wherever you see 4. So here we see this is 4 marks, and so the number of persons who got 4 marks is 8. Everybody agree? Everybody see that? All right, so we need to find the mode of this table here. What is the mode mark based on this information here? Which mark is the most popular? Which is the mode mark? So Natalia said 4. Okay, everybody said 4. Everybody, you are correct. Excellent. So you are starting to understand it now. So we see here The mode mark has to be the one with the highest frequency. And 18 people got 4 marks. So obviously, 18 is the highest group. So the mode is 4 marks. Excellent job. Excellent job, everybody. Very proud of you guys. Now, let us find the mean. So we need to find the mean mark. So guess what we need to do? Just like what we did before. We need to figure out how much marks each column produces and find the total marks and then divide by everything here. So let's go. We have mean is equal to what? Total marks obtained divided by the number of marks. Everybody with me? So let's go. How do we determine? And sometimes in CXC, you might got to draw your own little table here. Don't be afraid to add your own table. So let's go. One person got 0 marks. So how much marks is that in total? So that means we multiplying X, and look at what they use to represent the marks, X. And what do they use to represent frequency, F? So that means we really multiplying F times X. Everybody seen that? That's what we've been doing before. So here we go. One person got 0 marks. So how much marks that is so far? That's 0. 4 persons got 1 marks. How much marks is that so far? Talk to me. Let's do it together. Excellent. 4. Very good. 7 persons got 2 marks. How much is that? Please have your calculators at hand if you're not strong in multiplying. 14. Agreed. 10 persons got 3 marks. How much is that? 30. Excellent. 18 persons got 4 marks. How much is that? 36 and 36 is 72. How much y'all get? 72. Very good. And then 10 persons got 5 marks. How much is that? 50. So what you realize is that we could find out now the total number of marks by adding up all the persons who got a mark. So that would be what? Finding the sum of this, right? So the totals. So we could find the total marks by adding up this column here and getting your answer here. And we could get the total number of marks by adding up this here and putting it there. So let's go. 0 plus 4 plus 14 plus 30 plus 72 plus 50. How much y'all get here? $170. Okay. And how much do you get when you add up 1 plus 4 plus 7 plus 10 plus 18 plus 10? $50. All right. So that means which two numbers we dividing, guys? Anybody know? We're going to be dividing then 170 by 50. Because it means that 50 persons received the mark. Agreed? So what is my answer? 17 divided by 50. 170 divided by 50. Now let me ask you a question. 3.4 marks. Is that a correct answer? Yup. Look at you. Everybody understand how we got that? Okay, excellent job. So guess what? I want to take this opportunity to use this example to do the median. Because I think this one, because it's an even number, it's easier to find it, to use it as the example to find the median. Everybody see what I mean? And then when we do this one, we can do the one before. So since 50 people do a test and get a mark, which number would be the middle number? Which one would give us a middle number, kind of? What would be half of 50? 25, isn't it? Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So that's the first thing you need to realize. Median mean middle. You want to find the middle? Yeah, you should be able to look at that concept to find it. So we're going to come back to that. So now that we've done that, let's look at, what is this? The mean of grouped frequency. But before we do this, we need to look at the elements of group frequency. So let me just take you guys back a little bit so we could look at some concepts. Let me see if I find it. Where did it go? Every time we do something, I need to tick it off. Oh. Discrete frequency table on data. Where is it? 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 Okay, here it is. Here it is. All right. So we're going to go through and look at some terminologies. As we know, this is group data. Everybody with me? There's certain words, there's some words that you need to memorize and know clearly. That is class interval, class limits, and class boundaries. For now, I want us to just focus on learning and not on writing, because the truth is y'all have this document online, right? So if you need to write out your notes, you would just go online, look at it and write it out. Is that okay? So we can maximize class time and learning. Let me know what y'all think. Because again, you guys have access to this entire document, so you can print, you can write out everything in your own time. All right, so let's look at this information. As we see here, this is an example of what we call grouped data. So there's some terminologies you need to know. So let's look at the definitions. A group frequency table consists of class intervals. So what does that mean? If you see here, this is what we call the actual range. So if I said 35 to 39, that is the interval, the class interval. So if I was to ask you, what is the first class interval? What is the first class interval? That would be this here, right or wrong? That would be 35 to 39, because that's the class interval. If I want the second class interval, I would say 40 to 44. This would be the third class, this would be the fourth class, and this would be the fifth class interval. Everybody with me so far? This is what we call the class interval. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. We're moving accordingly, right? Okay. Next one we're going to look at. So let me just erase all of this now that we understand what the interval is. Let's look at what the limits mean. And I want you to think about limits as something clearly, because there's something else that we're going to learn right after that people is mix up limits between. Limits is the first number and the last number, because obviously what does 35 to 39 mean? That ain't mean 35, 36, 37. All right, 35 to 35. But you know what I mean? 38 to 39. That ain't what I mean. That means all numbers that in between that starts at 35 and end at 39. And that means 14 numbers range inside here. Y'all with me? So when we talk about the limit, we are talking about the beginning number of the interval and the ending number of the interval. And so as we see here, there's something called the upper limit and the lower limit. So if we see that we ask for the first class lower limit, because this is what this here is asking about, the lower class limit for the first class, which row are we looking at? We're looking at the first row, right? Because we're looking at the first interval. And if we want the lower limit, then that wouldn't be the lower number. And so the lower number would be 35 kg. Keep it in mind. You realize they put the units, they ain't just put 35. Everybody see that? Always pay attention to the units. What is 35? It's talking about 35 kilograms. Everybody with me? Let me know if you got it. And just how we have the lower limit, we have the upper limit. And so let me just go over on the side and do my own thing. You know, I like to do my own thing. So if I look at the third class interval, which two numbers, what range is that? That's the first question for everybody. I want to focus on the third class interval. Which interval is that? What numbers? Excellent job, everybody. That would be 45 to 49. Because obviously we know 1, 2, 3, this is the third class interval. Now, I want you to tell me what is the upper limit. When CXC bring questions like this, I just feel very happy for students because that's easy max, that's giveaway max. And they just ask questions like this a lot. So the upper limit of this interval would be exactly 49 kg. And if it was something as, let's say centimeters, you know, you would have had to put what? Centimeters. So what would be my lower limit? What is my lower limit? My lower limit would therefore be 45 kg. That's it. So far, we know that this is the interval. We know that the limit is always the first number and the last number. Now we're going to learn about the boundaries. No, this is the thing about boundaries. You know, it gets a little tricky. It gets a little bit tricky. You got two ways that you can learn it, the hard way and the easier way. I'm going to teach you the easier way because guess what? You could calculate it or you could just, it's something you could estimate. No, let's see if everybody understands decimal places. If I am counting in halves, right? So let me move this across, even before we look at the boundaries. Let me see if y'all understand how half marks work. If I said my number line, we should all understand how to use a number line, right? So let's say here is 0. Let's say here is 1. Let's say here is 2, 3, 4, 5. We all know if this was a ruler, there's always a mark in the middle. Everybody agree? What would this number be here? What would this number be here as a decimal? What is halfway between 0 and 1? Anybody know? If you don't know, that's okay. That's where we're here to learn. Anybody know? You could tell me yes or no, you don't know, you're not sure. If you got a ruler, what would be from 0 to 1? Is 0.5, which is half. Everybody see that? So what would be between 1 and 2? Try, let's go. What would be between 1 and 2? Each space here represents 0.5, so it's going to be 1.5. Everybody see that? What would be between 2 and 3? And what would be between 3 and 4? 3.5, exactly. What they are saying is, if I was to round off, everybody remember how to round off? If I had 3.5, where would I round off 3.5 to? Would I round it back down to 3 or would I round it off to 4? Exactly. So that means anytime you reach from 3.5 and onwards, you consider to be rounded off to 4. Everybody understand that concept? Okay, so we're going to use this concept for the concept of boundaries. Now, these arrows got thrown off a little bit, okay? These arrows, they kind of, when I was creating the document, they kind of scrambled. So I'm going to show you. What number would round off to 35 then, just before 35? Wouldn't it be 34.5? So that means to find our boundaries, we look for the number that is 0.5 before and 0.5 after. So the lower boundary of this interval would be what? 34.5. Everybody see that? Because it's just before 35. And what is the boundary after 39? 39.5. Everybody see that? And let's be real. The other way of understanding it is to add the two numbers and divide. Anybody want to go through all this work here? Let's be real. Which one you prefer? Ain't just applying the 0.5 before and the 0.5 after. Instead of taking two of them, adding them and dividing by 2. Mind you, I'm going to show you both ways, but let's be real. Who got time for that? So using this example, everybody, let's do the next interval. What is the upper boundary? I'm going to use it. UB is upper boundary. LB is lower boundary. I should have done the lower boundary first, isn't it? Let's do the lower boundary first for every interval. So we need a LB and we need a UB. What is the upper boundary for 40 to 44? What number comes just before 40? What is 0.5 before 40? Anybody want to try? Excellent. 39.5. Very good. 39.5. So what would be the upper boundary? Excellent. Let's keep going for the next one. Lower boundary. So here's what I want to split it up. So Gwen, you do this one. Janella, you do this one. Since Natalia, just give me one there. T, give me this one. T on Natalia, give me the next one. So we need lower boundary, we need upper boundary. Let me zoom in a little bit since we focus in here. So let me just erase this. Everybody, let's go through. When I call the boundary, let me know. So what is the upper boundary here? Guys, I can't believe the answers them done here already. Anyways, I guess we understand, right? I feel a little retarded, but that's okay. I just seen it. But just confirm if you understand. So this would be the lower boundary here. This would be the upper boundary. And what you would realize, anybody realizing anything? Anybody realizing the lower boundary for one is the upper boundary for the other? Check this out. What is the upper boundary for 49? 49.5. What is the lower boundary for 50? 49.5. Everybody see that? Tell me if you've seen it. Because remember, it speaks to a middle ground for the two of them. All right. So now that we understand now, we know the intervals, we know the limits, we know the boundaries. Now we need to know how to find the midpoint of the class because we're going to need this to calculate. Sure, no problem. You're coming back or you're gone for the rest of the night? Okay, no problem. All right. So just to do a quick checklist of everything we should understand. If I have, let me make up my own. If I have 100 to 120, we know that this is what we would call what? What is this called? The interval, the class interval. So I'm going to ask everybody, what would be the limits? And so we know we have an upper limit. Let's always start with the low, sorry. So let's start with the low. So we got the lower and the upper. What would be the lower limit for this interval here? Anybody? What is our lower limit? You see, that's why I asked the question. I didn't say the lower boundary. You see what I was telling you earlier? So I'm glad we make these mistakes now so we can understand the difference. I'm asking for the limit. Remember, the limit is the beginning number and the ending number. And so the lower limit would be 100. The upper limit would be 120. When we're looking for the boundaries now, the boundaries is what we just learned. And that would be, we got the lower boundary and we got the upper boundary. So the lower boundary would be what you guys would have just said, which is 99.5. But the upper boundary would be what? What would be the upper boundary? Excellent job. Okay. Everybody with me? So we've covered class interval. We've covered class limits. We've covered class boundaries. And now we're going to look at the midpoint of a class. Okay. Obviously, midpoint is what? In the middle, right? So anytime you need to find the midpoint, you need to use, let me see if you could use the limits as well. Yep, you could use either the limits or either the boundaries. It depends on which one is the easiest for you. Because guess what? The answer is going to be the same. Okay? So looking here, we see this is the formula. And this is something y'all will need to write out in your books as well. The formula for the midpoint. And the formula for the midpoint is you add the upper and the lower and you divide by 2. Okay, everybody see that? Pretty simple. It's just like finding when we were looking for the median and we were looking for the middle number, you add the 2, you divide by 2. Similarly, as you see here, it's the same thing. The class midpoint. What do we do when we find the class midpoint? We add the 2 limits, we divide by 2, and as you notice, you would always get back the same answer. If it depends on if you use, it doesn't matter if you use the 2 limits, the upper and the lower, or if you use the 2 boundaries, the upper and the lower. Okay, everybody see that? Pretty simple and straightforward, right? Last thing we need to look at now is the width. You see how we were looking at the range of raw data? We can't find the range of group data, but what we can find is the width of a class interval. And so the formula to find that is given here. It is the difference between the upper and lower boundaries. Now, this one is specific. You have to use the boundaries. You cannot use the limits. You have to use the boundaries. And so what is the formula to find the width of the class? Like how wide the class is. You subtract the upper class boundary minus the lower class boundary. And if you see here, what I love about this, you realize it says here, the width of the class is not equal to the difference of the limits. Everybody with me? So we're going to look at some examples now. But the reason I skipped forward to this is because when we're doing the mode, median, and mean of group data, obviously you're going to hear these words and it didn't make sense teaching you it unless you understood exactly what the words meant. Okay, so I'm just going to tick this off saying that we did this already. So we went ahead a little bit. So we're going to come back to the others. We did this one as well. So let me tick it off. Everything that we do, we're going to tick off. We did this. We did this. How y'all feeling? How everything feel for you so far? Are you able to follow? Is it a little simple? Is it complicated? Give me some feedback, guys. How y'all feeling? Easy it is. It's probably the easiest topic ever. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. let's get back to where we were. So we was looking at this example here. And what did this ask us to find? This asked us to find the mean, the midpoint. You see, we got a midpoint here. You see how they tell us, you see what I was telling y'all, look at how they tell us to find the midpoint of a class interval, but then we didn't really did the limit, the meaning of the limit yet. So that's why you see we went back. So we know how to find the midpoint already because we did that already. So now let's go down here and let's see what this is asking us for. Now, this is the steps to find the mean of group data. So here's the notes that you're gonna have to write out on your own. It says here, a group data consists of class intervals. We calculate, so this is it right here. We calculate the mean of group data by first finding the midpoint of each class, then multiplying each midpoint by its frequency. Do you realize it's kind of similar? Here, we didn't find the midpoint. We had to find what? The total in it. So we had to multiply. But then at the end, we still had to use these two numbers. For group data now, instead of finding what? Instead of finding the product, what did we have to find first? We had to find the midpoint and then multiply each midpoint by its respective frequency. So that is literally how you find the mean of group data. And here they explain how do you find the lower limit for the class. You see, it's the same thing we don't do already, so we ain't even got to worry about that. So what do I have to do first? I'm gonna break down. You realize I gotta do this again, separate my column. Okay, so let's do this one together. Because we want to find the midpoint, I could use the limits in this case, because remember, it's not the width we're finding. The width, you could only use the boundaries. But for the midpoint, you could use the two intervals. So what are we gonna do? What they say we need to do? We need to do what? Add the lower plus the upper and then do what? Divide by 2. Everybody see that? So 3, so I'm gonna write here, midpoint. Always label whatever you're finding. So midpoint is what? 3 plus 7 is what? 10. So that's going to be 10 divided by 2, which is 5. Because what did we do to find 5? 3 plus 7 divided by 2. Everybody following me so far? What about the next one? What are we going to do? 8 plus 12 divided by 2. 8 plus 12 is what? 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Agreed? Next one, 13 plus 17 is what? 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Okay, somebody, Natalia, you work out this one when you tell me this one. So what is the midpoint for 18 to 22? Natalia, what is the midpoint for 23 to 27? I know it already, but I just want to see if y'all could calculate it on your own. Excellent. Natalia, what do you get? Natalia, there? Okay, I don't know if you're gone. So let's work it out. You get 14? How you get 14? Try it again. 23 plus 27 should be 50. 50 divided by 2 is 25. How do you, if you were to put 17 here, shouldn't this raise a red flag? You see what I mean? Why would it raise a flag? Because if you look at what's going on, you're seeing a pattern in it. Everybody seeing the pattern? 5, 10, 15, 20. So even if, let's say, you didn't know for a fact, you could easily guess the answer and put what? 25. Agreed? So you see a mistake? Okay, welcome back, Janella. We're now working on the mean for group data. And just to recap what the steps are, the steps is we calculate the mean of a group data by first finding the midpoint of each class, then multiply each midpoint by its respective frequency. All right, 25, excellent. So what did they tell us we need to do after we found the midpoint? This number here would represent our frequency, because what does this say? Number of P's. So that means 3 P's is between 3 and 7 grams. So our next step is to do what, guys? Our next step is to multiply. So when we multiply, so let's call this F times X again, because X would be our midpoint. We use X to represent our midpoint. 3 times 5 is 15. 8 times 10 is 80. Let's go. Somebody help me out here. 12 times 15. So one person, 12 times 15, tell me how much that is. 10 times 20 is 200. We just add the 0, so that's 180. What is the last one? 7 times 25. How much is 7 times 25? That should be $2. No, 175. Excellent. So how do we find the mean? What we should do to find the mean? Anybody remember what we did before? When we found the two things, what did we do to find the mean? After we calculated up this and we added, we calculated that, what did we do? Didn't we add it? So we found the sum here and we found the sum here. And what did we do? We divide. So guess what we got to do over here? It's the same process. So we need to find the sum here. We need to find the sum here, and we should know what to divide. Exactly, divide by both amounts. Oh, sorry, not the midpoints, is the frequency. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So not the midpoints, but the frequency. Everybody see that? So I need one person to sum this up for me, another person to sum this up for me. Everybody should be using your calculators. Let's go. 3 plus 8 is 11. 11 and 12 is 23, 33, 40. Somebody back check for me. Thank you. So we get 650. So 650 would represent the total grams. Agreed? The total grams. And we got to divide by how much P's we get. So mean, which two numbers we dividing again, guys? Y'all remember? So it's going to be 650 divided by 40. How much do we get when we divide those two? Excellent. 16.25 watt. What are we talking about? We're talking about grams. So we write grams. Is that correct? Let's look at the answer here. Yep, that's correct. So y'all realize this? Y'all realize the process for on-group data is the same thing for group data. What is the difference? For on-group data, we had to multiply, right? Because obviously this tells us the frequency. But when it comes to group data, instead, what did we need to find instead? We needed to find the midpoint. So that's the difference. The formulas is always the same. And I want to show y'all something. Let's go back. Remember at the beginning, we had to see this ugly formula. Anybody remember this ugly formula up here? Everybody seeing what the FX mean now? So let me erase this now. Everybody seeing why they use FX now? Because in some cases, what does the F? F always represents frequency. You realize it's always a frequency. And what is X? X is either the midpoint or what the other thing that we use, because you realize we know putting everything together. So here, X was the midpoint, or here, it tells us the number of marks or the number of the element that we're talking about. Everybody see that? So when it comes to raw, data, we use this version. We just find the sum of all the numbers divided by the number of numbers. But when it comes to the group data and ungroup data, we always got to multiply F times X divided by the sum of F. Everybody seeing it now? So let me just quickly recap all three. Let me quickly recap all three, because when you learn something, it's important to understand the difference between everything you learn. So let me just go back out and let's look at the examples we used when we found the regular mean. Just looking for an example where we had found a regular mean. Anybody remember where that was? Where was that? Where was that? Was it here? No. Was it here? Okay, this is a perfect example. So here, you realize which formula we use here. So we got two formulas here. Let me zoom in. So these are the pages that I want. I got it. So you realize how much formulas they give us. They gave us two versions in it. They gave us, let me erase all this drama. They gave us a simpler one. And which one we use this one for? The raw data, right or wrong? Because look at it here now. Wrong direction. We realize we use what? The sum of X divided by what? N, which is the number of elements. Everybody seeing that? So this is the version of the simpler formula. Because these elements would be our only X values. All right, let me know if I'm making sense to you. Because this is where the higher level thinking, I have to push y'all to think on the higher level. Okay? Now, let's look at this version here now on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. And what you realize fx mean. What does fx mean? Fx mean f times x. So we had to multiply something and then add up the product of all of them and divide it by the sum of all the frequencies. Check what's going on with the two examples that we did before. Look at the first one here. Boom. Didn't we multiply f and x and then add it and then add up f, and then at the bottom we divide the two? And look at this one here now. Didn't we find f times x, which is this, and then we add it up and then divide it by the sum of f? That's it. That's how you find the mean. And trust me, it's not gonna get any harder or any easier than this. That's it. That is why we specifically using CXC level questions, so that you don't learn an easy version and then when you see a hard version, you're confused. You're learning from the harder versions. And obviously we're gonna get more practice because we're gonna do more questions. So guess what we have accomplished, guys? We have officially accomplished finding the mean for on-group data. We know class intervals, class limits, class boundaries, class mean. We already know how to find the median and mode of on-group data. So what we're gonna look at now is finding the mode and the median for group data. How y'all feeling? Because we just did a lot just now. And it's only 7:21. I'm very proud of everybody for sticking it through. And if we could keep up this momentum, we're gonna finish everything we need to finish on time. Okay? So I hope that you guys, again, reminding you guys after class in your own time over the weekend, go to look for the slide, this whole document, or use the recording and write out your notes. Okay, write out your notes. So let's get back into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. I'm so sorry for singing. I don't want to make y'all suffer. All right. So guess what? I'm gonna leave this one. I'm gonna leave this one for y'all to practice on your own and see if you get the answer. That's okay? Because I think y'all need to do one on your own. So I will call this homework question for you to do on your own. And then if you can't get it, you send me a message to see so I could see where you're going wrong. Okay? So that's your homework. So let's look at median. But guess what? We don't learn this. So we could do these questions for fun. So what is step one for A? So this is just practice. Let's go. What do I do to find the median of A? Step one. I just need one person to tell me. You can put on the mic, you can type it. How would you find the median? Actually, you know what? Everybody fine. Should I do it and then let y'all do B? Which one y'all prefer? For the interest of time, let's do it together, assuming y'all know what to do. So if I want to find the median of A, I got to find the middle number. And so what I need to do is arrange them from smallest to biggest. So let's go smallest. So 0, I can scratch that out now, which is the next smallest, 3. So I write it 3. It's the next small number, 4. Thank you so much, Gwen. Rearranging from smallest to biggest. So what's next? 5. Okay, I don't use 5. And what's next? 8. There's 2 8s and then a 9. I always back check and make sure I have the right number. So how much numbers they give me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know this is an odd number of digits, so I know I'm gonna get a middle value. So canceling out from the 0 from the ends, we get this boom, 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 boom. And like I said, boom, we're gonna get a middle number because the number is odd. So the median is equal to 5. Everybody with me? And just for the purpose of clarity, what is the mode? What's the mode? Okay, I see one person telling me what's the mode. Somebody else, what's the mode? Excellent. The mode is 8. Excellent. That's what we're talking about. Next one, we want to do the median again. So step 1, rearrange. Actually, everybody do this one for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, what I like is that this one is even. So you know automatically you're not gonna get a middle number. You're gonna do something. So everybody work out B for me, and then we moving along once y'all get it right. So I want 2 things. I want the median and the mode. Once y'all get this correct, we're moving right along. On cloud 9, living tonight. On cloud 9. On cloud 9. So we got one answer so far. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so we got me. Okay. Okay, so we got 2 different answers. Somebody said 17.5, somebody said 18. So let's check it out. Let's write from smallest to biggest. So that would be 10, 10, 10, 10. What's next? 16. And then you get what? 19. And then so cross out 16, 19, and then 23, and then 25. So if I'm canceling out, let's see what happens. It's gonna be bam, bam. Yeah, you don't ever round off for the median. So since we have 2 values, we know what we need to do. We need to say 16 plus 19. How much is that? 35. Yeah, and 35 divided by 2 is 17.5. So our median is 17.5. And our mode is obviously 10 because we got 2 values of 10. Excellent. So everybody give me your ranking out of 10. How you feeling? So for the purpose of what page is this? Excellent. I love it. I'm just waiting on T and Natalia to tell me how y'all feel. All right. So let's take a practice now with finding the median of the ungroup data. Okay, so this is the tricky part now. Let me zoom in here. Okay, it's kind of a little tricky. All right. So as you see here, you got some information happening. And you see sometimes CXC do things like that to confuse you. You see they got 0, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 3. Don't study that. So what you need to remember is max. You know how max does work. So that means one person got 0 max, 2 persons got 1 max, 4 persons got 2 max, 3 persons got 3 max. If I were to write this out, how would this look? If I was to use raw data, and because this ain't a big thing, I could write it out. So as you would see here, this would end up becoming what? 1 person getting 0, 2 persons getting 1. Why did I write that so close? 2 persons getting 1, 4 persons getting 1. 2. So that's 2, 2, 2, 2. And then 3 persons getting 3. I'm going to do it the long way first so that I could give you perspective, and then we're going to do it the short way in a case where these numbers are so big that you can't write it out. Everybody with me so far? So you understand why you're doing it the long way first, to give you some perspective? Okay, so let's work it out. If we were to work it out, let's make sure we have the correct number of numbers. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many people did the test? We need to check. If we want to find how much people did the test, let's find the sum of F, remember? So that's 1 plus 2, that's 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. So that's correct because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, check this out. If I wanted to find the median, where would I find, how would I find the median the long way? I would look for the midpoint in it. So let's find it. But because this is an even number, we realize what's going to happen. So if we did it the long way, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. No, something, I skipped something, I make a mistake. Everybody see the mistake I make? That is happening. I should have scratched out this instead. 3 and 3. It got to be balanced. So let's go again. 1, 2, and then we would end up with 2 here. Now, there's a chance that it could have been another number. Luckily for us, we know that what is in between 2 and 2? Between 2 and 2 is just 2. And let's work it out, you see. 2 plus 2 divided by 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that means the median is 2. Everybody with me? But you can't, let's say we don't want to do it the long way. After you add up the total frequency and you realize the total frequency is 10, the first thing you're going to do is try to find out, where would I find my half marker 10? My half marker 10 is between, what do you realize is it in between? It is not 5. You see why it is not 5? Because it's an even number. The 5th element is not the median. So check this. Who is calling me? So let's look at it. So this would be the first. This is the second. Let me use a different color. Let me use yellow. This is the first mark, the first, second person, third person, fourth person, fifth person. Everybody see why we cannot trust and just say the 5th person is the median? It is the person that's in between the 5th and the 6th. That is the true median. So what you're going to do is, first of all, just find the 5th first. Where would I find the 5th person? This is where the first person is. In here, I would find the 2nd and the 3rd. Before I continue, everybody following me so far? Where would I find the number in between 5 and 6? So let me check to make sure everybody with me so far. So far, good. So this is where the first person is. The first person got 1. What is inside the second one? This represents what? The 2nd and the 3rd. Because remember, we're going in order, innit? Everybody with me? So this is the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd. In this group, what am I going to find? I'm going to find the 4th, the 5th. It's 4 of them, innit? The 6th and the 7th. Agreed? So that means We don't need an exact number. We just need to know where the in-between of 5 and 6 gonna fall. So what does that mean? Where did it fall? It fall inside the 2 marks. And isn't that the correct thing? Median 2, median 2. Everybody see what I just do there? So what I did, I identify what element or what number is supposed to be the middle number. And I tried to find which bracket that person fall inside of. And guess what? Just how we did that for the ungroup is the same process for groups. Everybody see what I did there? Talk to me. So this was the long way, but in a case where we can't do it the long way, this is what we got to be doing. So let's do the next example together. Here, we realize these numbers are bigger, so we cannot go and write to all these numbers and then find out who in the middle. So what do we do first? We find out how much people we dealing with, how much P's we dealing with in general. So let's go. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. 11 plus 4 is 15. Everybody see that? 15th. Because 15 is an odd number, we're going to find a number in the middle, in it. What is the middle number? Let me see if anybody thinking. What number is the middle number? It's going to be the 8th person. How we know it's going to be the 8th person? Because if you think about half of 15 as well, 7.5, right or wrong? So that means we're going to get 7 people on both sides. And the middle number is going to be the 8. Everybody understand how I get that? Tell me the truth. Okay. If I was to write out 15 numbers, because remember, that's what this represents. 15 numbers. And who is the median? Do I have a median here, a direct median? Yes, I do, because this is an odd number. Which term is the middle term? Because 17, let's use a smaller number. Let's use 5. What is the median of 5 numbers? So let's use let's use some random numbers. Let's use 2, 3, 6, 8, 9. That's 5, right? So this is 5 numbers. If I want to find the median of 5 numbers, what is half of 5? Half of 5 is 2.5. So what does that mean? On either side of the median, I would find 2 numbers. So this is the first term. This is the second term. The third term is going to be the middle number, and this would be the 4th, and this would be the 5th. You see it now? What about everybody else? Let's use a bigger number. Let's use 9. What term would be the median term for 9? Let's see if we're thinking. Without me listing it out, what would be the median term for 9? What's the first thing that we do? We divide by 2. When I divide 9 by 2, I can get 4.5. What does that mean? If M is my medium, how much numbers I can find on both sides? Ain't gonna be 4. Right or wrong? So if I have 4 numbers here, my first term, second term, third term, fourth term. So what term is the median term? The median term is going to be the 5th term. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, because these are things that we need to know and understand. So you understand it now, Gwen? So keep in mind, when I did the example before, that ain't what we did, but you see how I write it out? Look at where I find the first term. This ain't what we do here. It was an even set of numbers, so I needed to find the term that falls between the 5th and the 6th term, because it was an even set of numbers. That's why I divided the total numbers 10 by 2, and that's how I get in between 5 and 6. Agreed? And so look at what we did. We said first term, second term. This is where I find the third term. And we identify where we found in between the 5th and the 6th, and that was 2. So let's go back down here now, since we kind of understand now. So let me erase all of this and let's start over. So we know we got 15 terms. So my median term, because we know it's odd, we know we must get a middle term, right or wrong? How do we find the middle term? We say 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So that means between my middle number, I am going to have 7 numbers to the left of it, 7 numbers to the right of it. That means my medium term is the 8th term. Where will I find the 8th term? So let's go. Here's 5. Everybody agree? So this is 5. This is the top 5. What am I going to find here? It's 3. So this is going to give me the 6th. This is going to give me the 7th. This is going to give me the 8th. And it's the 8th I want. So where did the 8 fall? Which group the 8 fall in? The 8 fall in 4 grams. So that means the median equals 4 grams. Talk to me nice. How y'all feeling? How's y'all feeling? And guess what? It is the same exact thing for group data. The same exact thing. So guess what? We're going to continue to practice it. We're going to continue to practice it and see how far we get. So Gwen, I see Natalia says she good. Gwen, are you good? Janella may hear from you. I'm not sure if you're there or if you're gone. Permission to be excused. Okay. No problem at all, Lovey. No problem at all. All right. You always have the recording to look back after. Okay. T, how you feeling? You good? All right. So now we're going to look at the mode. So let's look at the mode. What page we reach? Because I needed to make sure we covered a certain amount of pages. Remember, I tell you, don't write, just pay attention. You're right after. Okay. So let's go. This is easy. What's the mode of A? Anybody? Okay, Natalia said 8. Anybody else? Exactly. How much times we get 8? 1, 2, 3. So that means the mode is 8. Next one. What's the mode? I think I want some reggae music, I ain't feeling the soca. Nah, nah. Oh, nah, nah, nah. That me ain't remember what I teach you. Is it just 10? Give me the tea right now. Yes. What we call when you have 2 modes? What do we call something with 2 modes? Exactly. So this is an example of a bimodal example. So we call this bimodal because the mode is, so it's bimodal. And the modes are 2 and 10. All right. No, this table show. Okay. So obviously we need to find the modal class. This is also easy without me teaching it to you. And this is the next thing we need to do. I don't need to teach you everything for you to put 1 and 1 together. If I teach you 1 and if I teach you A and I teach you B, I expect you to be able to come up with C. So let's go. I never teach you how to find the modal class. Oh, this is the same thing. I thought this was the group data. In the group data. Okay, that coming after. So this is easy. Which one is the modal grams? Easy stuff. Let's go. What is the modal mass? Three what? You're saying 3. Okay. Anybody else? That is correct. How did she get 3 grams? Because if you see here, look at the frequency. Remember, this is F. Who got the highest F? This is the highest F. And so our mode is 3 grams. Everybody with me? Y'all feeling good still? All right. We keep it going. We keep it going. All CXC questions. So I'll let you know you're getting accustomed to all of this is CXC questions. So here we see here, determine the modal number of goals scored by the team over the series. So talk to me, what's the mode? Gwen, what's your answer? That means we're forgetting. We need to look at the frequency. Who has the highest frequency? The highest frequency is 7. So the mode is 2 goals. It's not 7. 7 just telling us which one is the popular goals. Remember, look at say, find the modal number of goals. So you cannot write any frequency as the answer. You use the frequency to indicate which goal is the mode. So your answer is 2 goals, not just 2. 2 goals. Everybody with me? So I hope you now start to realize the difference between the two. You use the frequency to tell you which event, because it's the event that is the mode. It is not the frequency that tells you the mode. It's the number of goals, okay? So let's go. I didn't teach you this, but which one is the modal class? Which one is the modal class interval? This is now us using our thinking. Which one would you say is the modal class interval? So I have one answer so far. Let's go everybody else. Nothing is wrong with getting it wrong, but trying is what we don't want to encourage. So we got 2. So just waiting to hear from Gwen. Which one do you think it's the modal class interval? And obviously pay attention to what they ask you for. Your answer must be one of the class intervals. What would tell you which one is the modal class interval? The one with the highest frequency. And this is the frequency here. Who got the highest frequency? 36 is the highest number. So that means the modal class is 21 to 30. Excellent job, everybody. Excellent job. You see, me and teach you this, but you were able to figure it out. That's what we're talking about. All right, let me see how far we reach here. How y'all feeling? We could go a little bit more. See how much we could smash out. Okay, we're just gonna do a few more stuff. Just let me know if you're up for it. So I see Natalia says she's up for doing a little bit more. T says she's up for doing a little bit more. If you have to leave, you can. Now, this part, to be honest, is just about reading and understanding. So I'm just going to explain some information to you. And we could run through this in 5 minutes because I really want to get to us being able to do this here. And that's where we're going to end. Yeah, so if we could reach up to line graph, that would be excellent. So let me tell you something quickly. We don't even need this information. I'm just going to show y'all something. So we got data in general, and there's 2 types of data. There's something called qualitative data. Again, these notes online, so you can look at them after. And there's something called quantitative data. May ain't even spelling this correctly, but you know what I'm trying to write. Quantitative and qualitative. What does qualitative sounds like? Quality. Qualitative data is data that are describing words. So something is tall, something is dark, something is green, something is shiny, something is short, something is wide, something is energetic. Anytime you're using describing words or adjectives to represent data, it's called qualitative. Everybody with me? So that's like tall, that's like short, that's like brown, something is brown. So when you look at something and you describe it with a word, you call it qualitative. When you use a number to collect data about something, then it's quantitative, because what does quantitative sounds like? It sounds like quantity. And we know quantity deals with numbers, in it. So a dog has 4 legs. That's quantitative data about the dog. But if the dog is brown, that is qualitative data because it's describing the dog, a physical feature of the dog. Everybody with me so far? So this has to deal with numbers. Now, there are 2 types of qualitative data. There are 2 types. The 2 types is, one could be discrete. Yes, no problem. And one is continuous. What is the difference between discrete and continuous? Discrete is when you use whole numbers to describe things that don't change often. So for example, a dog has 4 legs. 4 legs. A dog could ever got 6 legs. Can it grow another leg? It cannot. No matter where you go, all dogs got 4 legs. Even if the dog loses a leg, we know the standard is 4 legs. Agree or disagree? But suppose I say the dog weighed 20 pounds as a puppy, or the dog weigh a certain weight. What you realize about your weight could do what? It could change and it could vary. It could be 20.5 pounds. It could be 26.3. It could move up and down. And so what we have here is a value that usually takes a decimal, or it's a change in value. Everybody see what I mean between discrete and continuous? Let's look at some examples and see which ones we could identify. So we have here the weight of a baby during the first year of its life on Earth. We need to decide. Obviously, all of these here are, this one has to be what? First of all, is it qualitative or quantitative? That's the first one. Just tell me quan or qual. So just type quantitative or qualitative. Which one you think it is? Exactly, because it talks about the value of the number of how heavy the baby is. And once you could measure it, is usually continuous. So we have a quantitative data here. Now, which one is it? Is it discrete or is it continuous? Excellent. It is continuous. Very good. Let's look at this one. The number of students in room 4. We know it's quantitative, but which one is it? Is it discrete or continuous? The number of students in room 4. Discrete, exactly. Exactly. Because you can't get a half of a person. Okay, excellent. The volume of water used by a household throughout the year. Obviously it's quantitative, but what is it? Is it discrete or is it continuous? Continuous. Because you remember, it's water, it's how much water you're drinking. It will never be standard. It's going to be between a range of things. Okay? The number of cars at the Old Harbor campus. Excellent, discrete. That's it. That's it. That is it. Everybody understand the difference. And to be honest, you're not going to get tested directly on this ever. You just need to know just in case they ask you in a multiple choice question. Okay. That's all you need to know it for. You just need to be aware of what it means and the difference between the two. Now, we already did the difference between class interval. So what we're going to do here, this is a simple activity. This is a CXC question, May 2014, question 7. So we're going to answer this one, and I'm going to leave the rest for you to do on your own. That's okay? Because once we could do this one, you could do the others. And so next week on Saturday, I will be continuing with line graphs. I'll stop here and continue from page 16. Let me see, 16, 17, 18. All these here's exam past paper questions. Okay. All right, so we're gonna end right here after we finish the CXC question. Y'all ready? And guess what? We make it before 8 o'clock. That's really good. So that means we ain't even doing no extra time. We within our 2 hours time frame. So as you realize here, this is a frequency table that includes what? A tally in it. And you realize that they give you the table already with X times F. Y'all see now? So sometimes they would give you the table so you don't have to add it on. And sometimes you're going to have to add it on. Don't be afraid. You would even see sometimes they give you the space to add it on. So always be aware that especially with any type of group data like this, you're going to have to always find X times F to find the mean. All right, so let's go through. They already find 1, and I think that's why they scratch it out so we don't get confused. They don't find 1 and 2. Who we going to find now? Next, 3. I always scratch out when I find a number. So this is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. So I do 4 strokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see 5? Oh, yes. Oh, God. You see? Thank you. And you should know how to do 5, right? 5 is always like that, a tally. Everybody see that? And so the 5 strokes, the number 5. So what should I write here, guys? What would be my number here? What number should I write by X times F? Thank you. Very good. 15. So let's go. We're counting 4s now, right? That was a very good observation, T. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. So this would be 6. I'll just write the number one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's my answer for here? Excellent. So you see how, honestly, you see how easy the question is. I'm gonna tell you the harder ones. When we got to start drawing the frequency curve and the polygons and stuff like that, that's the hardest part of statistics. Everything else, pretty easy and straightforward. So let's go. 5, let's count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody agree? 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're gonna be 7 times 5, 35. Next one, let's count the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 6, 24. Last one, 7. 1, 2, 3, 3. So that's 21. Guess what we got to do to make sure we write? When I add up all of this, what number should I get? Because they tell us up here. You realize this is a class of 30. So that means when I add up F, everything here should be 30. That's how you back check. Because if you get 29, you know, you make a mistake and you forget somebody. Everybody see what I'm saying? So in most cases, sometimes they would give you the total here, and other cases you have to calculate it yourself. Okay, so let's see what the questions ask us for. So A say copy and complete the frequency table shown. So this would be like 3 max, 3, 4 max, sometimes 5. State the modal number of books from the sample of students. What's the mode, guys? I am not telling you, you're gonna got to tell me. What is the modal number of books? Remember the units. If you can tell me 5, 5 what? And they always ask you the number of books. Says you have to say 5 books. Excellent job. Very good. So let's go now. Using the table above or otherwise, you realize they're gonna always say either use the table or something else. Let me look for the other part of the question. What the question asking us for? Let me zoom in. And what I like here is that it gives us, what is the total number of books? How do we find the total number of books? Which one we just use to find the total number of books? Anybody remember? It's for us to add up what in here. Because remember they said 2 persons read 1 book, 3 persons read 2 books. So that's how we know we need to add up what? Like what we've been doing this whole entire time. What we're gonna add up in this column here, aren't we gonna find the sum of fx? Remember what we did before? Because the formula is the sum of f of x divided by the sum of x. The sum of f, sorry, to find the mean. Y'all remember? Y'all remember this complicated version of the formula? So you see, ain't that complicated now that we understand what it's talking about? All right, so let's go. Let's add up this here. What is this when we add it up? 2, 6, 15, 24, 37, 24. Where did I get 27 from? Everybody add up 9, tell me where you go. Excellent, 127. Y'all got that as well? All right. So here, excellent job. So guess what they ask us to find? The mean number of books. Always write the formula. So because we realize we got ungrouped data, we know the formula in it. The formula is the sum of fx divided by the sum of f. What was the sum of f of x? That was 127. What is the sum of f? That's the total number of people. That's 30. So somebody divide 9, tell me where you get. Baby mom. Make sure you calculate it yourself. Make sure you calculate it yourself. You use your own calculator and you find the answer and let me know what you get. Okay, so guess what now? Y'all got 4.23, 4.2. But is it possible to have 4.23 books? So you see here, we have to take this and round it off to a whole number because we only have whole books. Agree or disagree? So this is a specific example where you would have to round off the number. So your answer would therefore be 4 books because we round off 4.2 or 4.23 to 4. Everybody see that? All right, last question. And what I love, look what kind of question it is. Remember, I tell you at the end of most questions, probability always comes. Probability always comes. Determine the probability that a student chosen at random. So you realize what you're looking for, a student. So you should know what the denominator is already, because you should remember probability is a fraction. Total things that you're talking about, the total over the thing you're talking about. Everybody remember probability? And so let's take a look at what they're asking us for. A student chosen at random has less than 4 books in her bag. So what does that mean? Who should we be focusing on? The number of students who have less than 4 books. So that means I need to find out how much people got 3 books, plus 2 books, plus 1 book. Agree or disagree? Talk to me, agree or disagree? So that means that I need to add 5 persons plus 3 persons plus 2 persons. How much is that? 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 5 is 10. So you're literally gonna write this, You're gonna write 2 plus 3 plus 5 over the total. What's the total? The total is 30. You write it over 30. So your answer is going to be what? 10 over 30, which is the same thing as what? 1/3. So your probability here, the answer for the probability here is 1/3. Look at that. Y'all answer a whole CXC question already. Just like that on your second class. How y'all feeling? Out of 10, how are you feeling about what we just did with that CXC question there? So guess what? So far, you could handle one of the major questions that could come for CXC. Now, obviously, we got other topics we got covered, but that's one. But look at that. You're able to answer a whole CXC question. This is a whole question number it is again? Number 5? Yep. You can answer question number 5, just so. Look at number 2. Your job is to try to answer number 2 on your own. Okay, pretty easy because you see here we have raw data. They ask you to create your frequency table. I think I'm going to start off next class with this question. So don't beat up yourself about that. And this one, yeah, I should be able to do this one and do this one for homework. This is an easy one as well. It's the same thing. All they ask you to do now is find the modal class and the modal mean. Same thing that we've been doing all along. All right, so we're going to end class here today on a high note, early as well, because it's just 8 o'clock. And so your job, guys, is to do the extra work that you need to do, okay? Anybody gonna be able, who's here today gonna be able to make it to class on Saturday? Let me know so I can know what to do. Natalia, you're gonna make it to class, okay? Anybody else? Okay, no problem. Just message me and let me know. All right, so that's it for tonight, guys. Everybody else, you could just send me a message and let me know. I think today was extremely productive. Have a good evening. See you guys on Saturday. Bye.